Welcome back to the GSL up and down matches with Kaldor and Wolf. And we just saw our first three matches. Tree versus Zenio was our last match. A very quick one with that. We went for a 2x all-in. Did not work. His transition was to continue the all-in. On a big map, Zenio played well, a nice defense. So you can see our scores right now. 1-0 for MC, Zenio, and of course Virus, the other three. Following it up with 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, since we've only had our first three matches, but a quick three matches, in fact. Our first match was the longest one. Seed versus MC was 4-gate versus 4-gate, a weird variation, and Hack versus Virus was very mech versus bio. I mean, a pretty cool first set of matches.
Yeah, indeed. The first games always kind of set the pace of how the group goes, and we'll see if this actually works out. But keep in mind that even though if you win the first few games, you can never be too sure of your position. We saw that at the Blizzard Cup where Stefano was able to get an early lead in the group, did not lose a single map, and then suddenly he just lost every single game and was disqualified, did not advance. So something that you have to keep in mind. The next three games that we will see are Hack against Seed, Virus against Tree, and MC, who is going to face Zenio. This is actually one of the matches that I'm looking forward the most, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting to watch. Seed versus Hack, I think, is going to be like... the thing about it is, like, Seed has shown some poor games versus Terran recently. He lost to Noble S, he's lost to Marine King and Supernova, as well as Alive recently. So with all these losses, it's like, it seems like even though he's been known for great PvT in the past, recently he hasn't been doing well. He's got over a 50% win ratio in Korea, but he hasn't played that many games either. I feel like with Hack's performances against Protoss recently, he is going to be far dominant here.
He should be. It's his best matchup by far. He has a 71% win ratio, and he plays just excellent against Protoss. He was the player, I said this before, he was the one who kind of sealed the fate of Huck. So Hack was able to take him down with 2-0, and he didn't have a problem at all defeating the Evil Genius player. So he's really strong in this matchup, and I expect him to set the pace of the game and to be the aggressive one, to initiate the attacks, especially as soon as he reaches his starport and the medivacs, that he will start to drop his opponent and try to make good use of the
Very Marine King-esque, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see.
He just did this recently against Todd, just a few days ago. It was in the KSL, actually, and he is a very good player in this matchup. And
this map, by the way, Antigua, is really good for this build as well, because it has a secondary ramp, and also with the way that the main base is, there's a lot of area to drop and ferry really easily, to where if you ferry onto the top, that high ground of the Protoss' main base, his units are on the low ground trying to chase. He has to walk all the way back to his natural, then up the ramp, and then go to where your units are. By that point, you've already dropped them back onto the low ground. It's very annoying. Yeah,
in this map, as a Protoss, you have obviously a variety of strategies that you can use, starting with a 3-gate pressure against your opponent's expansion, or just opting for a Blinkstalker play. We've seen some Warp Prism harass as well. And just recently I've seen a couple of matches where Protoss tries to use Warp Prisms with sentries, a lot more against Terran as well, not only against Zerg, trying to trap the workers in the mineral line and then get an advantage. It's always a bit risky, especially if you use the Warp Prism, suddenly that's a ton of gas gone, but it can be very rewarding if you are willing to take this risk. It's not that common though, it's a little bit rare, but we're going to see what Hack and Seed have in mind in this map. On this map we have Antigua Shipyard once again, so let's get started. This is the GSL Up and Downs. We are in Group D. Casting for you today are Kaldor and Wolf. One of StarTale's Terran player is starting at the top of the map. It is not Virus. No, this is
StarTale Hack,
who lost the first map today. He lost his match against his teammate. He lost against Virus, so it would be quite the upset for him to lose this match as well. This is actually the case for both of these players. Cross position to the bottom of the map. In teal, we have the Protoss starting for LGIM. Here we have
LGIM Seed,
who also lost his first match. He was not able to beat MC, and therefore we have two players who are down a map, and this is very important for them. Of course, if you lose a second game, you are still able, you can still get into Code S, but it will be very, very hard. So for one of them, it will already be a huge upset, starting into the group with 2 losses, and we will find out who that's going to be.
Yeah, we are at cross positions, and as I said before, it's a great map for that Terran push that you talked about earlier on with the double medevacs, the +1. Very, very difficult to hold as a Protoss. It's kind of been the bread and butter follow-up to the 1-Rax expand. And we are going to see a 1-Rax expand. Hack even doing a double depot to block the probe out. Probe's not going to be able to get in, but he's going for a later gas here, in fact.
The second SCV is already en route. That's the one thing that you have to keep in mind. If you don't actually pull a second SCV, then suddenly the probe might be able to kill the supply depot. It rarely happens, but I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it as well. I've seen forced cancels as a result as well.
It's not supposed to happen, but sometimes if you don't pay attention and you just forget about it.
You have to mic your SCV as well, because if it gets stuck on the outside, the probe might kill it, and then if you lower the depot to let it in, then the probe just gets in and you defeat the purpose, so you have to be very careful about that. And in fact, we actually have a Korean caster who's getting really excited about something that I did not myself see.
They're showing some signs again.
It's something about Wangshimni, which is a cool place. If you go in Seoul to Wangshimni, it's a pretty fun area.
That always freaks me out when the Korean casters are suddenly like, "Whoa!" and we're like,
"I know."
Okay,
I'm pretty observant. Like,
yeah, nothing happened. He's getting gassed, but there was nothing killed. And then we kind of figure out. We look over our shoulders and look at the Korean screen, and it's like, okay. It's a sign. They're checking some signs that the audience are currently just holding up. So yeah, then it suddenly all makes sense. But at first it's like, what's happening? Yeah, and what is happening are expansions for both of them.
1-Rax expand or 1 gate expand versus reactor going down for Hack. It looks like he's going to be doing some Marine tank type of build with basically with an expand. He may do a 2-base timing attack, or he may just use a few siege tanks to secure his expansion and then go right into bioplay like normal.
The drop play, by the way, that we talked about earlier, that's one of the things that most foreign players that come to Korea, most Protoss players, have a huge problem with, because the timings of the Koreans is just so spot on that most of them really start dying just against the initial 2 dropships, and it's so hard to hold this off. So you have to kind of get accustomed to where to have to position your units when exactly the dropships are to arrive. And this is something that we are observing in Korea just more and more. These timings are so refined that it's hard for foreigners sometimes to, to just get started here.
Yeah, you're right. It's very difficult to adjust to how good the Koreans are, how fast they are. Even I watched Idra today discuss with JP on his Real Talk.
An awesome interview, wasn't it?
Awesome interview.
I loved
JP
it.
a great interview, and Idra had some great answers. So I highly recommend checking that out.
I love how Idra did not beat around the bush and was actually not dodging a single question, but answered everything that he was asked.
You're right. What he said about coming to Korea. Hold that thought. We're going to see some StarCraft on the back. What he said about coming to Korea is when you play on the Korean ladder, you're so scared about different things that can happen to you. You have to play very safely. But when you go back to the US and you start playing on that ladder,
you have to be a little bit more greedy.
You have to be a little bit more greedy, and I really like that he said that, because that's so true. You have to make sure you can be greedy. Look at these Hellions. They try to sneak by. They are spotted, in fact. A second factory going down. We are going to see potentially mech coming out here from Hack. Something that people have been looking for forever.
He's getting blue flame here, and this is actually something that we've seen Hack do against Huck as well. Huck was confronted with Hellion play and lost so many of his harvesters that the game was practically over. At this point, though, we have a nice defense by Seed, who's able to just throw his opponent back.
Great reaction, pulling his probes immediately, not losing any, pulling them back now, pulling a few too many. There he goes.
This is something that a lot of Zerg players lately just don't do. If you are confronted with this many Hellions, what you can do as a Protoss player, as a Zerg player, you just pull the probes back, the workers in general, you pull them back in the main base, block the ramp, because the Hellions won't be able to kill your expansion. They just won't be able to do it, and then you can defend against it. But as soon as the mineral line is open and you have still workers harvesting, they are endangered, and as soon as you lose too many of them, you are so far behind in economy.
Right now,
definitely good reaction here by you.
You're right. Right now, we have 3 Hellions being made at a time. Another reactor coming down next to the starport. There's a possibility he goes double reactor Hellions here. I don't think that's what he's going to do, but why would he reactor out Medivacs? And Marines are not even really necessarily the right choice here either. I'm wondering what he's going to do with the second reactor. I don't think he's going to go double reactor Hellions. That doesn't really make sense in this matchup.
We already have an Immortal building, by the way, and he's really
doing it.
going for the
He
double
is
reactor
doing it, man,
Hellions.
and it's spotted. This is unprecedented. We have never seen this before. Double reactor Blue Flame Hellions in this matchup. How will it play out? Obviously, Hack has had some experience with this. The more Hellions you have, even if your opponent goes Stalker heavy, it's going to be tough to deal with. He has scouted this. That's the most important thing.
The problem that he is going to face...
Oh, he's going to lose the Observer! Sorry. Yes, the problem he's going to face.
Exactly. The problem, in my opinion, is that Hack is getting Medivacs, so he will start to drop in his opponent's main base while he tries to get in a position where he can run in at the natural. And as soon as you have to face Blue Flame Hellions in the main base and at the natural, then you have to do something in order to save your units and the harvesters. And this is going to be crucial, because if you clump them up once and you get one shot in, they will be done for. And this is exactly what he's going for here. Look how this works out. This is exactly what I just said. He's trying to take down the chunks of the workers. And he's clumping them up. He's clumping the harvesters up in the main base, and he's losing so many of them.
Well, this could have been a lot better executed too by both players. This was actually kind of weird how that worked out, but he kills a ton of harvesters, 15 in total, putting the work count at 46-31, but he loses all of his Hellions.
Yeah,
as a result.
Lost a little bit too many Hellions.
This gives C the timing that he's going to use here. He's pushing out, bringing a ton of Stalkers, warping in additional reinforcements, even bringing a probe.
But that's exactly the idea that Hack had. He tried to go for a massive amount of worker kills. In the end, he was able to take down 15, 16. He could have killed a lot more, you're right.
And the defensive seed could have been a lot better as well. He actually didn't even force seal his natural, where he had some sentry energy available.
It's just so hard, especially when you start to clump up your probes. You have to watch out in your main base at your natural. So I actually like how C defended this.
Here we go.
He's trying to crush this army as 2 Immortals.
Not enough energy for Guardian Shield, but he does go up here. The bunker goes down immediately, in fact.
With all those
depots starting to fall.
With the Immortals and the Stalkers, he just had such a great army. The unit composition of Hack might be what is the biggest problem of
He's
the
got the
player.
Medivacs, so that's one of the biggest problems here. With just a few Marines and as well as the SCVs tanking some damage, the Medivacs are a big issue. Blink is on the way. The forward pylon is now up. He's warping in additional units, 3 sentries and some zealots. Kind of strange considering he is getting Blink. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to use that sentry energy for, as he is facing mostly Hellions. He just needs to fight them straight up.
With the Hellions, he will not be able to do too much damage. That's the biggest problem that he's facing right now. Hack is even supply blocked, and quite heavily at that. If you have a quick look, we have 100 to 86.
He's making 6 depots right now.
They will be pretty late, and it will delay his production. So at this point, it's going to be hard for him to face the army of his opponent, because he might have still the army supply advantage. But with all these Immortals and the Stalkers, the Hellions are not as efficient anymore.
Seed is not committing. He's actually he's waiting so long that Hack has been able to reproduce the supply depots. He's getting a great amount of production right now. Temple Archives coming out as well as Blink. And
a drop in the main base with Blue Flame Hellions is taking down additional harvesters. He's going for the probes. There's nothing to defend, and they actually cluster up here. If he micros this well, he will be able to take down so many more. He's actually going down to the natural, and whoa, Seed is losing so many harvesters here. By now, he lost 35.
He's lost 35. Blink is about to finish, and Seed is going to go into his phase of harassment as he does Blink into the main base now, taking out a reactor, gets a second reactor as well. But I mean, he is in a tough position. He does not force field. He was not paying attention, and his sentries are going down very quickly. The Stalkers do come down to defend, though. This puts Seed in a very flexible position, because he can attack and defend at the same time using his Stalkers. He's lost so much here, though.
This is really, really bad. Seed right now is down in army supply, down in worker supply. He's really struggling. He's at 80 supply against 111. He's trying to go for Storm, which would help him a lot. But the problem is, if Hack pushes out with his army, then he might just be able to take Seed down. Yeah, he's even pulling SCVs now.
I think he knows that if this game goes too much longer, he might be in trouble against a better composition, because his composition is kind of like, it's like malformed. He's got a bunch of Hellions, and he's trying to build up that bio, but it's like not quite there yet. So he can't fight straight up.
He knows how much damage he just dealt. The first Archon is morphing right now. We even have cannons. Seed knows he has to defend against this.
He saw the SCVs pulled, and he knows all he has to do is defend, and he wins.
Wolf.
He's got a lot of sentry energy available. Let's see how well he uses it. Great
Nice
force
force
fields here.
fields.
And what can Hack do? He needs to kind of try to drop in the main or something. I mean, that's what he would likely want to do, but it's kind of a risk at this point, and it's not a risk he's willing to take.
Even if he only drops 4 Medivacs, I think, 4 Hellions, that would work out. With all this energy left on the sentries, he can still force field, and I think that's the biggest problem that Hack is facing right now. The longer this goes, the better for Seed.
Yeah, and Seed I think is going to be fine here. He's taking out Hellion after another. It's too difficult for Hack to break up. The SCV is more of a problem than a benefit here. They are blocking so many units. More and more going down.
I don't want to say throwing this game away, but attacking to this choke point is not what's going to win him the match. He has to drop at least a few Hellions into the main base in order to open up a new flank.
This is not going to work for him. He's trying to make it work. The Archon doing a ton of extra damage on the front. Nice Blink Stalker micro as well, and Hack's supply bond quite drastically. A blink forward shows that Seed knows he's confident to take this. His Immortals doing some extra damage. They're not able to target the Marauders just yet, but with another blink forward, they will begin to. He tries to target down the Immortal. The Immortal, with 1 hit point left, stays alive, almost killed by an SCV, but was not. GG. And, you know, I'm not sure if Hack had to do that like that, but he decided to. We saw a very unique composition from him, one that has barely ever been seen before and never quite seen like this. I like the idea. Its execution was strong as well, but its transition, like I said, his army was kind of like malformed. He had not enough bio to actually fight correctly. He had too many. I mean, he didn't have too many Hellions, but you need a good ratio of Hellions, and you have to have some bio, and he had just not enough Marines, not enough Marauders in that mix.
It was really tricky for him to pull something off here. He definitely did a lot of damage to the economy, but with the chrono boost that Seed saved up, he was just able to get the probes back to a decent count in no time. And it was just a composition that did not work out for him. You're right when you mentioned that he did not have the firepower regarding the Marines and Marauders. He had a ton of Hellions, but with all these Immortals, with the Stalkers as well, the Hellions could not do the damage that they needed to do. The Zealots obviously had quite the hard time, but as soon as he started to attack up this choke point with all these sentries still available for Seed, it was just a lost cause, because if you drop into the main base, if you get at least another 4 of the Hellions, get them in the main base, you might be able to pressure Seed and he might just crumble. I wouldn't expect him to, but just walking up the ramp, he tried it the first time, he got force field. He tried it the second time, he got force field. He lost a lot of units, and he still kept trying because at this point, he was all in. He pulled every SCV that he had and tried to go up this ramp, and it just simply did not work.
I would have liked to see potentially, you know, this may have not worked, may have worked. He wanted to commit to the Hellions still. I would have liked to see he had 2 factories, make 2 tech labs, and start a little bit of siege tank production, at least initially. Then you can siege up, make bunkers at the low ground, and take a 3rd base. You don't have to attack there. I know his opponent's building a scary composition, getting Blink Stalkers, getting those Immortals out, and he's like...
Storm would have been a big problem.
Yeah, Storm would have been a big problem, but with siege tanks, again, it's very difficult to storm, it's very difficult to attack. That Hellions can target down Templars so fast.
It was just a very unconventional game that we saw, and it's hard to predict what he could have done differently. He had a lot of Hellions, he was relying on the strategy. Initially, he did not do the damage to the economy of his opponent that he wanted to do. The Harvesters that he killed kind of evened out with all the Hellions that he lost. In the end, it's Seed who takes the game, and now Hack is down 2 games in this group, while we have his teammate, we have Virus now facing a fellow Terran player. He's up against FX03 in the 3rd mirror match of the day.
It's going to be on Ohana, in fact. Let's see if Tree can show a better game than we saw against Zenio here at the GSL up and down matches with Caldor and Wolf.